So that's what I'm going to be watching from.
Okie dokie 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 dokie.
Ooh, here it goes.
What's the matter?
Said here it goes.
Yep, it's
We're
up.
on. It's up.
and we're screwing it up as usual. Okay. Well, welcome to Nerd Culture Clash, everybody. The show where we try to talk about some of the interesting things going on in the nerd world, but usually end up going off some random tangent because that's just how things work around here.
It's what we do.
Is what we do. I'm your host, Kevin Bob. Joining me as always is my co-host for Nerd Culture Clash, Tom the Immortal Cummings.
Hola.
And yeah, Comic-Con, man. Comic-Con just wrapped up, and a lot of stuff.
All these movies you were looking for before are now on schedule. Or not on schedule, but on a schedule.
On a schedule. And the biggest of all, of course, was the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because considering that phase 3 is now over and the original plan for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is done, everybody was waiting with bated breath to see what they were going to do going forward. And yeah, there's some mixed reaction to the announcements that were made. And we're going to get into a little bit of that as soon as I can pull up the friggin' chat here to make sure I don't screw anything up here. 1 second. Because I'm boomering it up.
Oh, my sister will be very happy they're doing a Hawkeye movie.
It's not a movie.
Oh, that's TV. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, they kind of.
She'll still be happy.
They kind of pulled. Well, she might not, man.
Is it the same actor?
Yeah. See, they kind of. It's the same actor.
Okay, she'll be happy.
Okay,
she'll be happy.
But the show is not going to center around him.
Hey, as long as he's on occasion, I'm sure she'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean he's in it. Jeremy Renner is definitely in it, but the idea is for him to introduce the female Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, which
Loki TV show.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Wanda. This is a terrible title. WandaVision. It should just be Wanda and the Vision, or whatever. Some title, but WandaVision just. That sounds like
porn.
Well, oh, okay. Well, no. Thor Love and Rock and Thor Love and Thunder sounds like a porn.
Yeah, that could also be.
WandaVision to me brings to mind like those 60s sitcoms.
Yeah.
What is it? In glorious WandaVision? That's what comes into my head when I saw that
cheesy music playing.
But so some of this stuff I'm like I'm just cringing like crazy at. Some of it I'm actually intrigued by. I'm actually interested in it.
Ooh, Eternals, that could be cool.
I don't know, man.
Could be.
Nobody. Let me put it this way. All of this stuff could
be cool. Yes,
could be cool. However, given the things that they have said and the mindset that they have going forward and the things that a lot of this stuff is based on, I don't think so. Now, I'm going to preface that by saying this, especially in this particular idea that they have going forward, this is not made for comic book fans.
No, they're into the MCU now, so they're their own thing.
All of this stuff going forward is going to be aimed at
mass market,
quote unquote normies. And so if you're a comic book fan, a lot of this stuff is going to piss you off. Because as a fan, and like I said, my first reaction to almost all of this stuff, with a few exceptions, was, yeah, I have no interest in seeing any of this. Because I am a fan, and the term fan is short for fanatic. And fanatics don't like it when you mess with their shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so my sister and my niece are huge Disney fans. And forget huge stuff like race changing and things like that in a show. They don't like it when they change minor things. Like my niece got upset at the Beauty and the Beast movie because there's a character that's supposed to be in. I guess there's a scene where she's in the library, if I remember correctly.
In a different room, yeah.
She got mad that there was a character that was supposed to be there that wasn't there. That's the level, like when you're a fan, that's the level of don't mess with my stuff that you're at. So, but let's go ahead and get into this here. Yeah, unfortunately, I did not put this announcement out quick enough. Actually, what am I doing? I'm going to the wrong thing. What am I doing? Oh my God, stop it. Stop it. All right.
What are you doing, Rob? What are you doing?
I'm clicking on things. I'm clicking. Yeah, it's chaos, I tell you. I'm clicking on stuff that I, didn't mean to click on. All right. So first off, Black Widow. I'm 100% down with this movie. The problem here's the problem with this movie. This is the only problem I have with this movie. It's 5 years too late.
Yeah, it should have been in probably phase 2.
Yeah, we should be going on to the second or maybe even the third Black Widow movie at this point. The first Black Widow movie should have been. You're exactly right. It should have been in phase 2. I think it should have come out before Age of Ultron, because there were elements of her background that they talked about in that movie. Because when they did the whole when Scarlet Witch was doing the whole mind thing and messing with her mind, and she was remembering things from the past.
Yeah,
they should have done the Red Room storyline before Age of Ultron.
Actually, it should have been the movie right after Ultron, because that would have got people interested in going, well, what the hell happened? And that would have been a good lead up to the movie.
Now, that could have worked. That could have worked either way. Either way, it should have happened before. It should have happened in phase 2.
Yeah.
This movie should have happened in phase 2. And the fact that it's happening after she's dead, that's a huge problem too, because what are you going to do if the movie does really, really well? You're just going to
another throwback.
You're going to do another one where it's in the past. They've painted themselves. The problem with the whole Black Widow movie is that now that the phase 3 is done, now that Endgame is out, they've painted themselves into a corner with this. So if they want to do Black Widow movies going forward, they're going to have to do one of two things. Either they're going to have to bring her back from the dead, it's the Marvel universe. It's possible. Or
it's happened.
Yeah. And there's actually something I'm going to point later that could point to them being able to do stuff like this. Or they're going to have to go with the new Black Widow, which was the one that nobody liked. I'll put it this way. They killed her. So they killed her off, and she's never been seen since. So, so Black Widow, that's a thumbs up for me. I do want that movie to do well. I do hope that they do that, the Red Room storyline.
And don't break it.
And don't screw it up. The Eternals. Now, they've announced a lot of the cast for the Eternals. As you can see here, you've got Salma Hayek, you've got Angelina Jolie, Don Lee. That name is really super familiar to me. Yep, him. There's a lot of people in here. The main character, obviously, is Icarus, Richard Madden, which he's God dang it, my brain doesn't want to work. He played Robb Stark.
Okay,
on Game of Thrones.
Thrones.
Which this isn't necessarily like, it's not necessarily a bad casting, because I actually liked Robb Stark, and I think his portrayal was actually pretty good. But Icarus, well, for one thing, I'm wondering if they're going to dye his hair blonde, because Icarus is blonde. But the thing about the Eternals is they're really easy to screw up. And which is one of the reasons why an Eternals comic has never really crystallized. in the Marvel's history. Every time they would start to do one, and it would be there for a little while, and then it would die. And I understand why they're doing an Eternals film, because a lot of the focus, if you look at their Phase 4, a lot of the focus is going into the because there's a bunch of stuff that's not on this slate that is going to be in Phase 5, and that's where there's going to be a huge focus on the supernatural slash cosmic stuff, like the Guardians of the Galaxy. They announced a Blade movie that's not on this list. I don't know why it's not on this list. Well, I do know why it's on this list. It's actually slated for sometime in Phase 5. They also announced a Fantastic Four movie that is supposed to be either the end of this phase or the beginning of the next phase. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be aimed at the cosmic stuff.
Yeah, off of Earth.
Yeah, because the Eternals, that's cosmic stuff. Thor, that's cosmic stuff. Doctor Strange, the multiverse, that's supernatural slash comics, cosmic stuff. Loki's cosmic stuff. The Fantastic Four, they deal largely with the cosmic pantheon. So that's where most of the cosmic pantheon stuff came from, was Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a big focus on that going forward. And we saw that in the at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, when you see Nick Fury out in what was it? On the space station. There's a name for that space station. I can't remember what it is now. But, you know, it seems like a lot of their focus is going to be going on to that stuff. Plus the fact that they're doing Blade, that means you got to bring vampires and werewolves and stuff into the cinematic universe. So
they're doing Blade as an actual part of the cinematic universe.
Yes,
not just as like a side thing, as like they've kind of been doing, or
they were kind of vague about it, but the idea from what they announced it with all of this other stuff. So whether or not they're going to try to do it, like, it may be something that they're going to tie in with Doctor Strange here in this multiverse of madness thing.
Yeah, it could
where it could be that it could be that Strange becomes the key to the multiverse, and that Blade is going to be part of that multiverse thing. That's a possibility. So right now we're just kind of operating on what little they've told us.
Yeah.
But Eternals, this is a big question mark for me. So, but it looks like it's got a really cool cast. Like I said, I like Richard Madden. Angelina Jolie as Athena is actually pretty good casting. Selma Hayek. It's, you know, and you got to know that Thanos is going to show up in this story. Thanos is absolutely going to have to show up in this story. If he isn't the main villain of the story, it's very possible. But we still don't know a whole lot about Eternals. We got to see what they're planning for it. Kevin Feige talked about it a little bit. But one of the interesting things is that he said that their intention is to have the film focus on the character Cersei, which I guess is okay. But they haven't even announced who Cersei is. But usually the main character of the Eternals has been Icarus. So this is another one of those things where they said that they were looking to get, another diversity thing. Which, if that's I mean, Cersei's not a bad character. If you're going to focus the film around her, it's going to be about the love story between Cersei and Icarus, which is kind of weird. Mm. Considering that the thing about the Inhumans, I mean, not the Inhumans, but the Eternals, or Turtles, the Eternals, is that they're all kind of related. So it's one of those things. It's actually kind of like the Asgardians, which if you look at Asgard in Norse mythology, they're all kind of related to each other.
Well, he's the All-Father for a reason.
Yeah, he's the father of all of them.
Just like the Greek the Greek pantheon, and
yeah,
Zeus is my dad, and my
right.
great-great-grandfather, and my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, so it's a little weird. But and it could be cool. Like, this movie could be cool. Circe was actually, until they screwed her up in like the late 90s, Circe was an interesting character, and she was actually a big part of the Avengers for a really long time. So yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued by the Eternals. I have heard, I'm kind of holding it at arm's length because, like I said, it's the Eternals are a really touchy storyline, and it hasn't always worked out. But hey, I could be wrong. All right, so Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm actually really cool. I'm actually really interested in this because I actually like Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's a character that, especially in the last few years, they've done a lot more with him. They've kind of fleshed him out a lot more. And the best way to describe Shang-Chi is to think Bruce Lee, if Bruce Lee was also Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible.
Okay.
The Shang-Chi, now obviously when he was created back in the 70s, he was made to be an analog to Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, yeah.
He looked like Bruce Lee, he even dressed like Bruce Lee. But in the last decade or so, especially, they've really focused on making him a lot more than that. He's like I said, he's been a spy. He's worked for SHIELD. He's considered the one of, if not the greatest hand-to-hand fighter in the entire world. The thing that I'm concerned about in this is them putting him with the Mandarin, because that's what this Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. They're going to introduce the quote-unquote real Mandarin.
Because I was about to say, because they already screwed the pooch on the Mandarin, but
yeah, it's this. And if they're going to do what I think they're going to do, which one of the storylines for Shang-Chi is that he was, I'm trying to remember the guy's name now. He's a villain from Marvel. He's a very kind of a very racist villain back from the era when they would draw Japanese, like in the 1940s when they would draw Japanese soldiers, and they would have the like yellow and
buck teeth weird. And thick glasses.
The character that he's the son of. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to type it in here and find it because it's going to bother me. Shang-Chi and his father. Fu Manchu. He was literally the son of Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu.
Yeah, which we all know that's bad. I think they're going to have him be the son of the Mandarin, which isn't in and of itself a bad thing. It's just replacing one villain for another. The problem is the Mandarin, if they do the Mandarin justice, his power level is so freaking high.
Yeah.
There's no way this dude's going to be able to even stand up against him. Like, the Mandarin could take out, what the heck?
That's my phone.
Oh, okay. The Mandarin could take on Iron Man at his best and beat him. Okay, the guy has 10 magic freaking space rings that come from a race of super dragons. I mean, how's a dude even as someone who's as good a martial artist as Shang-Chi, how's he going to be able to take on somebody like that?
Yeah.
So, again, I like the character. I want this movie to do well. The fact that they're putting him up against the Mandarin, that's probably a bad idea. Now, it could also be that he's not going up against the Mandarin himself. He's going up against the Mandarin's 10 lieutenants. Because if you remember from the first Iron Man movie, the terrorist who kidnapped him in the first place.
Yeah.
He had a ring. He had a ring on, and he talked about how that organization was something of the 10 rings. So it's
yeah, that
possible.
could be. Yeah.
So it could be that he's taking on the Mandarin's lieutenant, and that the Mandarin is going to be a bad guy that gets introduced later.
Which be like the end of that. This is phase 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. At the end of phase 4, he'll be the big bad for that.
Yeah. So again, so far we've got one movie that I really, really want to see. One that I'm hoping is good. Another one that I'm hoping is good. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This, I need to see more about this one, because there's a lot that could be good about this, but there's also a lot that could be bad. Doctor Strange is one of those characters that he's so wide open.
Yeah.
With the possibility of what you can do with this character, especially if you're going to do this multiverse stuff. Now what we may find out, which would be kind of funny, but it would also be like, really, is if in this movie we find out that what Mysterio was trying to push in Spider-Man Far From Home, if that actually ends up being real, and that there are actual tears in the multiverse, in the two different multiverses and stuff,
they're leaking through.
That are leaking through, that could be pretty funny. Like, and at some point, if they do that, they have to have Spider-Man make an appearance and be like, wait, are you serious? That's really happening? So
that dude just made it up.
It's like, I just fought a dude that was saying that crap and he was lying. But from what I understand, the villain of this is going to be Nightmare, which is cool. Nightmare is a good villain for Doctor Strange. You probably don't want to use Dormammu this soon after you introduced him in the first movie. But the fact that they're going to start doing more supernatural stuff, like we've already seen that there's going to be a Blade film, and Loki's going to have his own TV series. This is another one that I think could be really good, but I'm guarded about what they're going to. I have to see more to make a judgment on this. So far we've got one yes and a couple of maybes. Okay, the big one. Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, first off, that title's awful.
Yeah.
That title is awful. This sounds like, and if you see the title for it, the title graphic for it, it looks like something from the 70s. Look at this crap. Seriously, come on, man. And this is exactly the thing I was worried about with Thor Ragnarok, when they went super heavy with the humor.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually my biggest complaint about Thor Ragnarok was the humor. There was too much humor.
With that graphic, it'd make a really good double billing with Crawl.
Oh yeah. Here's the other thing: they're bringing Jeff Goldblum back as the Grandmaster.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, why? It's but this is the big part here, is that they're doing the Jane Foster Mighty Thor storyline, which now we already know. Now here's one thing. Here's a couple things I'll say about that. We already know that the comics and the films are not the same. They've deviated quite a bit, and they're going to deviate even more going forward.
Yep.
So just because she gets the hammer and becomes a Thor doesn't mean that he's going to stop being Thor. Now, I do think that there's a distinct possibility that this is the last Thor film that Chris Hemsworth is going to be in, and that they might actually kill him. If they do that, they may as well write this series off, because a lot of the reason why people like Thor in the MCU is because of Chris Hemsworth. Now, as far as the storyline, the Jane Foster storyline itself is concerned, I was not a big fan of the Jane Foster story, Thor storyline. Not because I have a problem with a woman having the hammer or having the power of Thor. That was actually an intriguing thing to me. When they first announced that they were going to do this, the idea of Thor being unworthy and have to earn it back, I thought was an interesting element. I thought that was cool. I thought that could be cool. Putting the hammer on a woman, I also thought could be cool. Because we've seen like what if stories of like that in the past, and like they were actually kind of interesting. So I was actually on board with this. My problem was in the execution of it. Part of it, the guy who wrote it, Jason Aaron, part of it's not his fault, because this storyline came out of one of the worst company-wide crossovers that Marvel's ever done. It came out of Original Sin, and Original Sin is, even people who are fans of the Jane Foster Thor run, even they think that Original Sin was awful. Like, Original Sin was just bad. It was the beginning of the Marvel actually eventually had to admit this, but them doing these constant company-wide crossovers were just killing the friggin' the comic book industry on the Marvel side. Nobody liked them. And they were just getting worse and worse and worse. And this one was one of the worst of all of them. The only one that went over that was considered worse than Original Sin all the recent company-wide crossovers was Secret Empire. And that's when they turned Captain America into a friggin' Nazi. Mm-hmm. So, but all of those problems you can trace back to Original Sin, because that's where that whole storyline began. The Original Sin was a storyline where they turned Nick Fury into a villain. They made Thor unworthy, which I was actually, like I said, I was on board with that. But then the reason why he was unworthy was stupid. And they de-age and they aged Captain America into an old man again, which is something that we've already seen, and it was stupid. And it was just, and they just crapped all over the character of, they killed the Watcher. They crapped all over Nick Fury. I'm like, and the whole reason they did that was because they wanted to put a Nick Fury in the MCU that looked like Samuel L. Jackson, which they could have done that without crapping all over the original Nick Fury. Like everyone was telling us, that why didn't you just have him go out, like let Nick Fury go out like a hero, let him go out like a warrior, instead of turning him into a villain. Let him go out like a warrior and because this is after they did the whole thing where alternate universe versions of characters were showing up, because that's how Ultimate Spider-Man showed up in the MCU. Just have Nick Fury from the Ultimate Universe somehow survive.
Yeah.
And have him show up. Boom. There you go. I'm cool with that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You don't have to crap on the original to lend legitimacy to the new. You don't have to do that. And the best quote unquote legacy characters that exist didn't do that. Like Wally West Flash, Dick Grayson, who's arguably the greatest legacy character ever created, did not crap on the original to push them up. You don't have to do that. It's an example. And again, this is me being a fan and me being a fanatic and not like it when you screw with the stuff that I love. This is just an example of having zero respect for what has come before you.
Yep.
So the Jane Foster Thor, first off, I thought Jane Foster was the wrong person to put the hammer on. I thought there were much better people that they could have done it with. My personal opinion, I thought it would have been cool if they went the Captain Marvel route, the Captain Marvel Shazam route, and the hammer actually picked like a kid. Not like a 10-year-old kid, like a 14, 15-year-old kid. I thought that could be cool because it's like a complete different direction to take something.
Yeah.
And then you have unworthy Thor, instead of being a mopey little punk, like he was for so much of it. They finally did a good story. Now, here's the thing. They did some good storylines with this run. Okay, there were some good storylines. Jason Aaron is not a bad writer. He is a good writer. That's part of the reason why so many of the fans, myself included, were upset. Is we know he's a good writer. We know he's better than this. We know he's better than we know that they're better than what they're getting. And that's the biggest problem, I think, with a lot of comic book fans today is we know they're better than what they're giving us. Mm-hmm. We know it. They've shown us. The execution of what they did was the problem. And if they go with that same execution, this movie could be for comic book fans, this movie
dead
could
on arrival.
Yeah, it could be dead on arrival. Now I'm going to say this. I think this movie is going to make $1 billion. Oh
yeah.
Because, like I said, it's not being marketed to us. It's not being marketed to comic book fans. And the MCU has created a kind of culture.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to cultivate. So all these people that are saying, look at this thing, oh my God, this movie's going to friggin' bomb. No, it's not. I don't think so. Now I might be wrong. It might not make $1 billion, but I don't think this movie's going to fail. I think this movie is going to give the audiences that have been tempered to what the MCU is and have been kind of indoctrinated into that, to what these films are. They're going to like this movie. And I think that's a big part of the problem is so many of fans and people who are fans and people who are part of fandoms, they're seeing these things that are being put out here that aren't what they are fans of, and it's because it's not being marketed to them.
Well, and here's a big problem with that whole strategy they're just talking about. We've got the MCU now, and we're going to take the MCU in its own direction. Okay, so what you have here is and then with this new direction, we have to make it more appealing to everyone as a whole. We're not just dragging comic book fans to the theater anymore. We've got other people in now. They're here for the movies, so we're going to do that. Which, okay, fine. But like you said, you got to respect your source material.
Yeah.
And what they're going to do is no, we're just making movies now. We don't have to do that. So I'm thinking Giant Mechanical Spider. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. Exactly.
Yeah, I know you get that joke. So, but yeah, they're going to go with this, and then the comic book fans are going to drop off, and that'll be their first little. They'll take a little bit of a hit on that. They're like, okay, well, this didn't do quite as good, but we still got good numbers. So let's keep pushing it more and more away from the fans and more towards the mass market.
Yeah, towards X or towards X group of people that we're trying to cultivate.
I don't even think they're really even doing that. They're just going for the mass market. The more butts in the seats you can get.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it really waters it down.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I think, though, is that they do think that the way to get a bigger piece of that pie is to try to make it appeal to as many different groups of people as possible. But when they do that, sometimes they end up focusing on one group of people. Like right now, they've already said that they're going hardcore feminist with Phase 4 and Phase 5. That's their plan. They're going super hardcore feminist, and the quote unquote diversity thing. The problem is that, as we've seen, and a lot of people have actually pointed out, when you do that, you actually start making it less diverse. You actually end up making it less diverse because you start focusing on one or two groups of people.
Yeah.
You
have to keep it open.
Christopher Priest. A lot of people asked him. Christopher Priest is who's an amazing comic book writer. He's been in the business for 30-something plus years. He wrote that really cool, really awesome Black Panther storyline that the movies were largely based off of. And then he did a couple other things after that, and then he kind of disappeared off of mainstream comics for the most part. And every once in a while, he would pop up and do a little bit something here and there, and then he would just disappear again. And they kept bringing him projects, and he kept saying no. And eventually, somebody actually asked him, "He's like, dude, we bring you stuff every 12 to 18 months. We'll bring you something, and you keep saying no. What's going on? What's the deal?" And he said, "You guys keep bringing me the same characters."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, when I started, he said, when I started in comics, I was a writer who was black. I was a black man who was a writer, but I wrote everything. Like, I wrote the Avengers. I wrote Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Now all you're doing is bringing me black characters. You're trying to get me to replicate this thing that I've already done before. You're pigeonholing me without realizing you're pigeonholing me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It comes from, I do generally believe that it comes from a want to do good. But when you narrow your perspective like that, you're unwittingly narrowing.
When you put somebody back in a slot, even if it's not the same slot that they were forced into before, but if you pull them out of one slot and just force them into another slot, it's still a slot.
Yeah. And I think if they're not careful, they're gonna do the same thing with this film series. They're trying to, like I said, they're gonna try to bring in the LGBTQ community. They're gonna try to bring in, quote unquote, more diversity. And by doing that, they are going to narrow their focus unintentionally, and it's going to drive a lot of people away.
Well, what they need to do when they do something like that is they need to just bring it in as if you don't have to point it out when, like, I'm trying to think of a good example here, where you trip over yourself trying to point out, look, we've got diversity. We've got this. Just put them there.
Yeah, virtue signaling.
And let it go. You don't have to. Doesn't have to be a big neon light pointing at every character, and they don't have to bring it up every 5 minutes. Oh,
yeah, like one of the
me and my boyfriend here. Oh, me and my boyfriend are doing this. Me and my boyfriend are not just. If he's a gay character, just let him be a gay character.
Yeah.
In whatever role he's doing.
Yeah, that was like one of the best times that they handled that particular subject was in The Authority with the characters of Apollo and Midnighter. First couple of issues, they didn't say anything about it. You didn't even know about it. And then at one point, Midnighter leaves on and it was one of them that goes, "Hey, all right, we're going on a mission. All right, kiss him." He goes, "Yeah, be careful." And that's it. And they just walk away, and you're going, "Oh, it's like, oh, okay," and
that's all it needed to be.
Yeah,
and there you got it.
And
roll, go with
and that's why
the rest of the story.
And but like what you said, that's one of the reasons why movies like Ghostbusters 2016 failed, because they're beating you over the head with it. And again, like I said, for the most part, I don't think people are doing this to be problematic. I think they're trying to do good, just like Christopher Priest said. They just don't realize that they're actually promoting the thing that they're trying to avoid. And this movie, a lot of the stuff that they've said about it, a lot of the feed coming out of it, the people's reaction to it, there was one creator, the guy who co-created The Punisher, I can't remember his name now, it's escaping me, but he's literally happy that so many comic book fans are upset that they're doing the Jane Foster Thor story, which, like I said, the Jane Foster story could have been good. It was the way that they went about doing it, and it was some of the things that they did that just they tore the original Thor character down so badly that all the fans turned against it. That the vast majority of fans turned against it, and the sales showed, because the series, like, I think at its best, it was selling in like the mid 30s. You know, it wasn't doing great. But he's out here making comments like he's so happy that it's making so many people mad. I'm like, dude, if your motivation is to, if you get satisfaction out of people, if your entire, you know, if you take pride, I'm tripping on my words here. If you take happiness out of making people angry about your decisions, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, man. You should be doing it because you think it's a good idea. You should be doing it because you think it's a good story. You shouldn't be doing it just to piss people off, you know, unless you want to be unless you're deliberately trying to be a provocateur, and then that's exactly what you're going for. But that's a pretty bad business model. You know, and that's been the argument that people have had for what Marvel and DC and the mainstream comic industry has been doing. But again, what a lot of fans don't realize is they're not doing this stuff for comic book fans anymore. They're doing it to make movies. They're doing it to create IPs, to make movies and TV shows, and that's it. You know, so like I said, comic book fans, the vast majority of comic book fans, the vast majority of Thor fans are probably not going to like this movie. I still think it's going to make a buttload of friggin' money.
Oh yeah, it will.
Just like the Captain Marvel film. Because here's the thing, Disney and Kevin Feige, they're not dumb. Okay, they, like, going back to Captain Marvel, they marketed that movie perfectly. They wedged it between the two biggest films in the entire friggin' MCU phase, whatever phase you want to talk about. They were the two biggest movies of the entire MCU. And they shoved that movie right in between the two of them, and it was the last one before the final chapter. And they marketed that thing as the feminist film of the year, and it paid off like gangbusters. And like, anybody who thinks that they don't have a plan to keep the money going in all of these films, you're fooling yourself. You know. And again,
to have a plan. It may not work as well as they, at least long term, it may not work as well as they think it is. But yeah, as long as we can keep to one major bad guy and maybe one minor, once they start doing the whole piling on the villain things, you know, it's a lost cause.
Yep.
Because that always goes bad. Now, the thing is, you can do that with heroes. You can have multiple heroes in a storyline and it works. It's really, really hard to do a bunch of villains and only, you know, one or two heroes. That never ends well story-wise.
Yeah, well, look at the Batman film, the 90s Batman movies.
Oh God.
Yeah. The less we say about that, the best. But yes. Yeah, and like I said, everything that I've said, I could be completely wrong. Every one of these movies may be friggin' amazing. They may not be nice. It'd be nice. I don't root for people to fail. I don't root for things to fail. But anytime, just like, and we're going to talk about the Joker thing because some more stuff came out about the Joker film. Oh my God, dude. If you change something to such an, it's possible to change something to such an extent that it no longer is what it originally began as. And if you do that, if you change something to the point where it only bears a facsimile resemblance to what it began as, then it's not what you originally intended for it to be.
And if you're going to do that, you better have a hell of a hook and an audience waiting for it. Because the old audience isn't showing up.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's like we were talking about with the Joker film, where they've been teasing all this stuff with the Joker, and then right now, just before the movie's about to come out, they're saying, "Oh yeah, we didn't base it off of anything. It's not. This isn't the Joker." And then why are you calling it the freaking Joker?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So all right. Anyway, but on to the TV series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That could be cool.
It could be cool. I like Anthony Mackie. I like Stan. I can't remember his. I'm blanking on his name here, but I'll just look on and I'll find out. Sebastian Stan. I like him. I like that they're bringing in Zemo. They're supposedly bringing Zemo back for this series, and I'm interested to see what Sharon Carter thinks about the fact that Steve Rogers bailed on her for her grandma or her grand aunt. But I like. I'm actually on board with the Sam Wilson Falcon. I personally feel like of all the people to take over for Steve Rogers, if you're going to have someone take over for Steve Rogers, which I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to have someone take over for Steve Rogers,
but if you're going
to, Sam Wilson is one of the people that makes sense to me. Maybe not from a power standpoint, because he's nowhere near as powerful as Captain America is, but from a personal standpoint of people that Steve trusts to understand what Captain America is supposed to be. Now, the direction they took him in the comics wasn't necessarily the best one, but the idea of putting the shield on him, if you're going to put it on somebody else, I actually think it fits better with him than it does with Bucky. I know a lot of people wanted Bucky to become the new Captain America, but from an ideological standpoint, Bucky and Steve are very different people. Bucky is at his best when he's being a friggin' covert operative. You know, he's the guy that will. He's actually kind of like the Punisher. He's the guy that'll punch the ticket of a world leader because he thinks it's the right thing to do. He's an assassin.
Yeah.
Sam is more of an idealist. So regardless, and like I said, depending on who writes him, it's good. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But Sam, to me, is one of the two people that has helped Steve form his perspective of the modern world more than anybody else, and that's Sam Wilson and Peggy Carter. Those two people. So of everybody that's out there, those two people are going to be the ones that he's probably going to be the best. You know, he's going to be like, okay, you guys are the ones who embody this the best. Now, there's people that argue with me about that, and they have some good points and they have some bad points. But I don't have a problem with Sam Wilson being the new Captain America if you're going to do that. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. I would just have Steve Rogers be Captain America forever. But then again, I'm a fan, and I don't like it when people screw with the stuff that I love, even in a little way. I don't know about them going back to the well with Zemo. It could be cool.
Which
I don't know.
Zemo?
Zemo is the guy who actually caused the Civil War. In the movies, he's the guy that manipulated everybody into thinking that Bucky killed Black Panther's father. He's the villain from Captain America Civil War. And then the guy at the end that shows the video that Bucky says that he knew that and Cap tells Tony that he knew Bucky killed his mom and dad. Yeah. That guy that caused the rift.
Yeah, the guy from the city they dropped.
Yeah, the guy who was he was part of he was from Sokovia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's going to be the main villain, apparently.
Shouldn't he be in jail?
Well, yeah, he is in jail. Now, it's also possible that he might not be the main villain. That he's just part of the storyline or something. But they have shown him in the a more classic Zemo helmet Zemo costume, the Baron Zemo costume. So I'm thinking he's going to be the main villain.
Okay. Well, I must admit, I do like when they do that. That's always good. That's the one thing that was really, really good about Spider-Man Far From Home was the whole when they're like, and you, they're going through everybody there at the bar.
Oh yeah,
remember? And it was everybody from just like when you find out who everybody who was in Hydra, who's been in all the movies, they've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, you're like, oh yeah, that was that dude, and that was that dude, and
yeah. Although the motivations for some of those people are like, well, why do you hate Tony Stark? He didn't do that to you. But no, Zemo can be a good villain. I just don't know if it's too soon to go back to that well, maybe. But then again, it's a TV show, so they're going to have a lot more. They're going to have a lot more time to work with it. So that's the difference between. See, that's the thing about difference between a movie and a TV show. Is with a movie, you've only got X amount of time. With
yeah, like
a TV
3
show,
hours tops.
Yeah, with a TV show, you go from having 2 or 3 hours tops to having 10, 12 hours to tell your story. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I think it could be good. We'll have to wait and see to see what Marvel's intentions are with this storyline. But this is another one where I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. WandaVision. Jeez. I love Wanda. I like the Vision. I don't know where the hell you're going to take this. I mean, the only thing I can think of is it going to be a prequel? Now, they're saying it's going to tie in with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, so this may very well be
an alt universe.
That they somehow save him from an alternate universe or something. Or now they also announced that Monica Rambeau is going to be a part of this. I'm wondering if she's going to be in her Spectrum form, her superhero form. Monica Rambeau is the one who was actually Captain America before Carol Danvers, and her mom is Carol Danvers as the How It Should Have Ended or Honest Trailers put it, her Disney issue Black Friend. She's but Monica is the one who's actually got superpowers, or she's supposed to have superpowers. So maybe she'll get her superpowers in this. Maybe she'll be Captain Marvel from a different universe. Because it's tied into that's why I'm thinking this Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. I'm thinking that that's going to be the movie they're going to use as a catalyst to start bringing in a lot of stuff. So, yeah. I mean, I like Wanda, Scarlet Witch. Me personally, I wish she was the one that Thanos was most worried about rather than Carol Danvers, because Wanda is freaking crazy powerful, especially if they do the comic book version. Paul Bettany, I did like Paul Bettany as the Vision. I thought it sucked that they didn't do the thing where they brought him back, but I'm hoping that they're clever and they do something that kind of goes, well, the reason why he couldn't come back is because blah, you know. Mm-hmm. I also think that if the Black Widow movie goes over big, this may be the impetus they use to bring her back. That she will be a Black Widow from maybe a different universe.
Well, I mean, yeah, the whole multiverse thing just opens up. I mean, literally, it opens up everything. I mean,
yeah, it basically gives them
crossing over like that. You've got carte blanche to do whatever you want.
Yeah, which is both a good and a bad thing. Like,
yeah.
It's also the thing that I hate the most, which is the big red reset button.
Yep.
It's like, oh, well, we can fix it by doing bloop. Oh, and everything's back to the way. It's like, no, God damn. So WandaVision, I need to know more about it before I pass any kind of judgment on this. The Loki TV show, they pretty much going to do exactly what we thought they were going to do, and it's going to be him. This is not the Loki that has, like, quote unquote redeemed himself, which I actually think a lot of people were kind of not on board with, because Loki is a good guy is nowhere near as cool as Loki is a bad guy.
That's the thing. Even in Norse mythology, he's a bad guy, but it's more his role of, the god of mischief. He just screws with people,
right?
I mean, to the point that some of them die, but
right.
or somebody dies.
He's very aloof. He's very, he's kind of disconnected to the why should I care about mortals? They're nothing. That's kind of his thing. But he's not necessarily like hand-wringing evil. He's
right.
There are actually Norse legends where Loki does good.
Yeah.
Where he saves people.
He helps out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's basically like an agent of chaos. He's the guy who sows discord. He's the trickster god.
Yeah.
And tricks are often cruel. And I think people like him when he's more like that, like he was in the first Thor film, like he was in the first
when he's a bad boy.
When he was the Avengers, and he was in the first Avengers film. This is going to be Loki going back to that. And it's him jumping through different timelines, apparently looking at things and maybe doing things and whatnot. But the whole idea is this is the Loki who grabbed the Tesseract and took off, which is one of the big plot holes in Avengers Endgame. It's like, how are you gonna fix that? But
multiverse.
Anyway, yeah, multiverse.
Yep.
But I'm interested in this one. I like Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I'm hoping this doesn't suck. It's pretty sad that after Endgame, my feeling going forward is they've pretty much done everything that I wanted them to do, and at this point, I'm just going like, okay, see if you can get my interest back at this point, because I don't particularly have any faith in what you're putting forward here. And that's one of the things that a lot of people are saying, is that they're looking at this slate and they're just kind of going, okay, there's nothing on there that everyone's going, ooh, like, oh man, I can't wait to see that. It's, there's a few things like Black Widow. This could be really good. Shang-Chi, this could be really good. Doctor Strange, this could be really good. But it could also be freaking awful. And I think that's the thing that everyone's looking at this. There's nothing here that they're going, okay, that's an absolute slam dunk. So then what if? Now this I'm really intrigued by. This is going to be an animated series. And they're going to get a bunch of the cast to come back and play their characters. But look at this. Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher. That's awesome, dude. I love Jeffrey Wright is one of those actors that I feel like has never really gotten a chance to be a superstar. He's such a good actor. He really is. And that he's doing the Watcher, I'm very intrigued by this. But look at this. Look at the voice cast. Haley Atwell, Peggy Carter, Chris Evans, Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark, Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, Sebastian Stan. Everybody's coming back to do their voice, and I'm like, hell yeah, man, I'm in. So it's like, I'm down with this, man. I'm really, really, really Taserface. That's freaking awesome. It's one of those things where it's like, and they're bringing him back. Oh my God. There's going to be an awesome scene. There's going to be a scene with him and what's his name? God, my brain doesn't want to work today. It's like, hey man, you put the quarter in the jukebox. You gotta listen to the song, man. There's going to be a moment of that where it's just the ramble is going to go off. If they don't, man, I'm gonna be real upset. But
they don't need to use him a lot, but they do need to use him every once in a while. Just have him come in, and like I said, if like I said, they're going to re-release Endgame there with extra stuff. Man, I would pay to see it all over again if they just had like just a 3 or 4 minutes him running down. Okay, the story thus far. This is what happened. And I would pay just to see that. That's awesome, man. Somebody's in the chat. Scotsman said, like tweeted and all. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, brother. This is a weird day. I think a lot of people are just kind of chilling.
So I'm not expecting a whole lot of traffic for this today. And plus, I didn't get the announcement out until late because I'm like, it's one of those days where I'm just dragging ass, man. Like I'm about before I go on to the next stream, I'm gonna kill me a freaking energy drink because I'm like, ugh. But yeah, this is the actually this is the project that they announced that I am the most interested in is the What If animated series. I do what I can. Hey man, it's all appreciated, brother. All appreciated, man. My dumbass, I actually should tweet this out again. Now that I'm actually, let me go ahead and hit share. And I will hit tweet. Tweet. And tweet it out again. Because everybody tells me that you should do that in the middle of the thing because, a lot of people miss it the first time and, that time passes and you get to say myself. Oh, yeah. I suck at this. And then Hawkeye.
Rob Wright self-motor.
Yeah. Let me bring that back up here. Hawkeye. Here's the thing. If they do this series based off of the My Life as a Weapon storyline, this could be good. Again, if this is just them using him to introduce Kate Bishop, it's going to suck because I don't like Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop is annoying as hell. She's one of those characters that's so perfect. You just like, why are you even here? And she's the epitome of the way they write comics in the current era, which is everybody's perfect. Nobody has any flaws. There's no depth to anybody. Now it sucks because when they did in My Life as a Weapon, she did have depth. Same thing. It's like what everybody says about America Chavez. When they first introduced that character in Young Avengers, she was actually really interesting. She had a lot. She had depth to her. There was interesting things about her. And then they turned her into the super awesome, yes, queen. It's like, really? I mean, what are we supposed to root for here? It's you want me to root for a bunch of surface traits? There's no meat to this character. So, I wonder what the direction is going to be for a lot of these shows, man, especially Hawkeye, because I distinctly get the feeling that Hawkeye is going to be, he's just simply there to introduce Kate Bishop, and then they're going to go with Kate Bishop going forward, which I think is a bad idea. I think Jeremy Renner deserves his own movie. I think Hawkeye deserved his own movie, just like Black Widow did. And I think this is just, I don't know, man. I think they threw a bunch of money at him and said, hey, can you help us out with this? And he went, sure. Which is basically, that's another thing that a lot of people are upset about with Thor: Love and Rockets is, what's up?
Thor: Love and Rockets? Love and Thunder.
Dude, you know what? There's a comic called Love and Rockets, yeah. And that's what's in my head when I look at this. That's how bad this title is. This title is awful. But you might as well be Thor and Love and Rockets, dude. It's but Love and Thunder, God, such a bad title. Oh my God. Okay. But Natalie Portman, she blasted the MCU. Like she specifically said she did not ever want to come back to the MCU. She didn't like it. She hated what the direction they were taking her character. But for some reason, it's like, oh, well, we're going to make you the main character now, and here's a buttload of money. And she's like, I'm there. So it's like, okay, well, that's nice to see where your integrity is.
Well, I mean, Rob, if they came to you and was like, hey.
Oh, dude, I would sell out in a heartbeat. Like, I was just about to say, like, you didn't let me finish. I was just about to say, like, you know what, though? I get it, though. And I actually like Natalie Portman. So,
yeah.
But here's the other thing, man. Have you ever seen Natalie Portman next to somebody else?
She's tiny.
She's tiny. I mean, they're gonna have to pull some Lord of the Rings
Forced perspective.
Forced perspective camera stuff to make her look like, you know, a female version of Thor. Because, dude, and like when they gave her the hammer prop, this thing looks so big in her hands, and she can barely hold it. She's holding it, and you can tell that her arm's getting tired. She's tiny, man. I mean, I'm like, dude, if you don't, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be a shit show. You know, and then stupid stuff that they're saying about Tessa Thompson and her character Valkyrie. It's like, I'm just like, whatever, man. Stevie J Reviews, hey man, it works. So just dropping in to hit like and say good day. I appreciate it, brother. If you can share it out, that'd be even better. And yeah, I'm glad anybody's here. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, like I said, of all the things that they're doing, man, that What If series is the one that, well, What If and Blade, because actually, let me pull up the guy that they got for Blade. They got the guy, I can never pronounce his last name, but I mean his first name, but his last name is Ali. The guy from Green Book. He also played Cottonmouth in the Luke Cage series, which he was the best part of that series. Blade, Marvel. Okay. I'm gonna butcher his name here. Mahershala Ali is playing Blade. This guy right here.
Okay, that could work.
Here's the problem. He's 45. Now 45 is not too old to play Blade, but it is too old if you're going to build a franchise around somebody.
Yeah.
And Blade isn't coming out until Phase 5. We're talking 3 or 4, like 2 or 3, at least 3 or 4 years from now.
So because the next 2 they've already got filled up there. So if Blade's not coming out for another at least 3.
At least 3
he'll
years,
be almost 50 when it comes out.
He'll be 48 when it comes out. You're not building a franchise around someone who's almost 50. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. stepped down because he was in his 50s. So appreciate that, Stevie, man. Thanks, man. Here's what I think they're doing. Back in the day, it never crystallized, but Marvel were going to introduce Blade's daughter. I think this might be what they're aiming for.
Could be.
I think because, like I said, Marvel is no longer a comic book company; they're an IP farm. Their comic book line exists primarily to farm new IPs. And this is some of the character design that they had for his daughter, because this was back when everybody and their mother was popping up with a son and a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Considering how old he is, and the fact that he's going to be almost 50 when the first movie comes. Now, don't get me wrong, dude's taking really good care of himself.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and someone else brought up they brought up Tom Cruise as a hang on a second. Huh? Oh, I can't right now, dude. You're gonna have to give me a minute. Tom Cruise is taking really, really good care of himself.
Yeah, but he's getting old. I mean, but he might be taking care of himself, but age hits you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like all you gotta do, we're gonna talk about the Maverick trailer in a minute too, because that was awesome. But I don't think they're doing this to build a franchise around Ali here. I don't think so. I think they're going to use him to introduce her. So But yeah, so I mean that's that was pretty much Marvel's announcement in a nutshell. All they did, the other thing they did announce a Fantastic Four film for the beginning of Phase 5.
Haven't they screwed that up enough already?
Fantastic Four. The thing is it's so easy not to screw it up.
And yet they did multiple times.
And they're promising, but then like I said, they're promising, no, we are going to give you the Fantastic Four movie that you got, that the Fantastic Four deserve. I don't know, man. This is the fan in me, and the fan in me does not celebrate failure. I don't want any of this stuff to fail. None of it. I don't want any of it to fail. But I think it's very possible that it can fail. Let me see if I can get an image of. Yeah, these are all the. Is this it? Yeah. All right. View. See. Can I just open image? Why are you giving me such a problem here? Okay. What if Fantastic Thor, and then they put after in 2020, starting in 2022, is when they put Phase 5, which is going to be which Blade's going to be part of Phase 5, and Fantastic Four is going to be part of Phase 5. Phase 5. I want them to succeed with Fantastic Four because I want a good Fantastic Four film. Ben Grimm is one of my favorite characters of all time. I love Ben Grimm. I don't know why they didn't just put the graphic up that actually had Fantastic Four on it, but anyway, yeah, here we go. That was the logo that they showed. And I think that and actually he said they already have plans for Fantastic Four and X-Men. So I think at the next big convention, because there's one coming up in a couple of months, I think they're going to talk about Fantastic Four and X-Men there.
And I got to say that whole the WandaVision graphic, yeah, that's a real good way to sum it up.
Oh, dude, it's awful. Like this. Yeah, it looks like I said, I literally got flashbacks of like 60s housewives when I saw this. That like it even looks like the lettering that they put on like those old friggin' televisions and stuff.
Oh, well, it belongs on the side of a fridge or a car.
Yeah. And I'm just like, But
anyways, yeah, back to Fantastic Four. So let's stay focused, Rob. Stay focused.
Yeah, I know, dude. And I'm gonna have to stay even more focused because I'm getting told that I have to go help my dad do something, so I might have to end this short here. But oh god, dude. I should change that. I need Fantastic Four to be good. Because I know that it can be, and I love Ben Grimm. I love that character so much. And the only way I'm ever going to get my Ben Grimm Hulk fight is if this movie doesn't suck.
Yep.
I need my Ben Grimm Hulk fight. I'm a comic book fan. I need my Ben Grimm Hulk fight. I'm sorry. I need that fight. I need the Wolverine Hulk fight. Damn it. I need it. It's,
this is not negotiable.
No, it isn't. It's not. And it's, we might have to do another podcast tomorrow or something to make up for the fact that I'm gonna have to cut this short here because I've got a little bit of a family emergency brewing here apparently.
Okay.
But real quick before we go off on that, it continues. Marvel unleashes new batch of Hulk-inspired variants. More variant cover crap.
Just variant covers, not variants on.
No, just variant covers. Just more variant cover crap. So far, they have announced. They've shown 6 of them, but they've announced 24.
So
variant covers. Look at this shit.
So everybody gets their each and own individual cover for whatever comic they buy now. They'll just all be different.
Yeah. They'll have a regular cover and a variant cover. So once again, comic book store owners are going to be like, well, how many do I order? What do I have to do to get this? Blah, 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 blah. It's never going to, it's, you know, they keep saying that they're going to change, but they never do.
Nope.
They don't care. But, okay. Yep. We're going to have to cut it short because, like I said, I got a little bit of a family issue brewing here and I might be a problem. So, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah, I see all your tabs up there.
Oh my God. I want to talk about this tweet from Tom King so bad, but that's going to have to wait. Oh yeah, dude, I've got all kinds of crap.
Check with me because I might have family stuff tomorrow. So
yeah.
And we'll see if we can get one in.
Oh God, I want to talk about this. Look at it. Like this, from the Joker film director. We're not even doing Joker. Then why is your movie called Joker? Oh God. Anyway, and then Tom King says Strange Adventure would be about Trump instead of PTSD because that's so much better. I don't. I'll say it once. I'll say it again. I don't have to spend $4 or $5 a pop to read about that. I can just go outside. But okay, that's it for today, guys. Like I said, we have to cut it short because I got something brewing. I apologize for that. I appreciate everybody being here. And that's our show for today. As always, you can find us right here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you like what you saw today, please hit like, hit subscribe, share the channel out because it helps the channel grow. And especially leave a comment below. It helps us figure out what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, gives us ideas on how to improve and other topics to cover.
Whether we're being stalked or not, that sort of thing.
We desperately need that stuff. But until next week, I'm Comic Book Bob.
I'm Tom.
And I'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stop that.